Hey, what's going on everybody? So today I'm going to give you 3 different ideas for improving your riff writing or writing more creatively. The first is going to be about internal repetition. The second is going to be about theme and variation. And then the third is going to be about making a connection between rapping and poetry or storytelling and riff writing. So I'll actually do the third one first because it's the most high level one. If you think about a storyline usually starts with an exposition and then it goes into a rising action, has a climax, and then a falling action. Well, in music, and especially in Western music and in modern guitar playing, there's usually a riff that's repeated and there's 4 repetitions of it. And so you have 4 sections, and on the third section, the climax, guitarists will likely flex. At least, I think tenured or senior guitarists will do that. So guys like Tim Henson or Scotty LePage from Polyphia, on the third repetition of a riff, like their goat riff, they will do a little flex in there or add some variation to create excitement. Chon does this a lot. Thank You Scientist does this a lot. So I don't think it's a coincidence, and I think it's just a quality way to structure your riffs. The next idea I want to talk about is internal repetition. So let's look at this example by Chon called If. In this example, you have the same melodic line played 3 different times, and that is an F sharp minor 7 chord. And they just descend the chord basically in its root inversion. The reason that this is so effective is that, even though there's so many notes happening around that little chord or that little arpeggio, it gives your ear something to latch onto. And, for regular people who aren't complete music nerds, this is really helpful for them too. And it becomes more palatable to a wider range of people. And then the last idea I want to talk about is theme and variation. Theme and variation shows up in Chon riffs, I would say, but a lot of Animals as Leaders riffs. And I think this is what makes Animals as Leaders songs so cohesive. So I'll show you an example from the Brain Dance. In that example, you can see that they took the melody of the opening riff and expanded on that in the second riff. And what this leads to is, I don't know how they wrote it, but I think what happened was they took that melody, they started changing the harmony underneath the melody, and they just let their ear take the riff where it ended up going. I believe this because everyone I know that uses this method, that's kind of what they let happen. They just take an element of their opening idea and they just let that transition into the next section. So that's why you see bands like Animals as Leaders pretty cohesively moving from section to section. Without a lot of small measures to do so, to facilitate those transitions. You'll see bands like The Contortionist, or Between the Buried and Me. They very often will use short little 2/4 bars, like measures of 2/4, that are very tense melodically, or that are trying to resolve into the next section melodically or rhythmically. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that also is a great way to create transitions, but a very cohesive way to do it would be to pick an element from a riff that you just played and expand on it in your next riff, or hint back at an older riff, or hint at the next riff to come. You know, so that's just that's just theme and variation, put simply. I don't think I touched on the rhyme scheme, the hip hop poetry thing too much. Just to glance over that quickly, if you think about how like rappers will go like AABB, like rhyme schemes and stuff like that, you can do the same with your guitar riffs. So you can structure your riffs like AABB or ABAC. You know, that way your listener kind of knows what to expect, and I'll include examples of songs that I think follow or emulate that sort of rhyme scheme. But yeah, that's today's lesson. Thanks.